This is an amazing moment, and you know, quantum physics talks about when you acknowledge the existence of something, it becomes apparent to you. And we have had so much talent in plain sight. But the reality is that we have never acknowledged the existence of it. We never acknowledged the existence of crisis management teams and what Kay Bain and Tony Herbert and others are doing. We never acknowledge the diversification of our city councils like they should be, like our new city council-elect, Julie Wan, who's here. We never acknowledge the existence of the failures that have taken place. And if you don't acknowledge it, you begin to normalize it, and you begin to expect so little. And we never acknowledge the ability of real leadership within the rank and file of law enforcement and those who happen to be women but were able to provide and do the job. Those women have held it down. As we walked in, we saw a captain that's here. We have witnessed so many women who have conducted themselves in a professional way, yet never received the opportunity to do the job on a higher level. Always sitting on the bench, never allowed to get in the game. That is stopping today. That is stopping today. I made it clear on the campaign trail. I am going to find a woman police commissioner. And I was not going to lower my standards. I gave my team a difficult task of finding someone with the qualifications, the abilities, understand policing, was on the ground, and something you hear me saying over and over again, emotionally intelligent. Don't tell me about academics. Don't tell me about Ivy League schools. Don't tell me about how many credentials you have. How are you as a human being?
Okay.
Tell me about your emotional intelligence, a term we don't use often. That is the criteria to serve in an Eric Adams administration. You must not just be academically intelligent, you must be emotionally intelligent. And this is a personification of emotional intelligence, this amazing future police commissioner standing here today. And so I want to thank my brother Kay Bain, the number of lives that he has saved right there in that corner space, committed to be on the ground with the unprecedented coordination with the district attorney here in Queens of taking down major gangs, and his on the ground speaking with people. They had an entire year with no murders. Entire year with no murders. Saving lives. This crisis management system is a real win, but we're not covering all the hot spots. We need to give them the resources they need so that they can do what they're doing in a real way. And I want to commit to the incredible success that Kay Bain and other crisis management teams have put together, and the commitment and dedication like people like Dr. Divine Pryor and his long work of helping people turn their lives around, having me sit down with gang members to find out how we get them out of gangs. This was the architect of doing that, and people didn't understand what we were doing. Dr. Pryor, we had some people say, what were we doing sitting down with gang members? I used to say, what am I doing sitting down with you?
Exactly. True.
And then Bishop Taylor. His dad had a church here, workforce development, giving people resources. building out the entire conversation around banking, having a credit union in this community, showing people what the possibilities are. These are great partners that we have had for so many years. And so I'm proud today not only to speak as the mayor-elect,
Savor that moment. Okay, yeah.
can't wait till I get rid of that elect part. But also, as a former member of the New York City Police Department, 22 years wearing a bulletproof vest, riding the subway system during the most difficult times, standing on street corners, protecting the children and families of this city, but experiencing not only the joyful moments, but the painful moments. Arrested at 15, beat by police officers in the 103rd precinct, looking over all of that pain and saying, I'm going to turn that pain into purpose. Today is the accumulation of a long journey, 22 years in that department, dedicating my life as a member of 100 Blacks in law enforcement who cared to fight for justice and safety. Thinking about those years as a child, 13-year-old Clifford Glover shot by Shay on Guy Brewer Boulevard. Years later, seeing a businessman, Arthur Miller, murdered by chokehold. Then sitting inside the police academy while taking classes, Eleanor Bumpers shot with a shotgun for an eviction. Sullivan walked free after that case. Incidents after incident, witnessing how we could do a much better job in public safety and justice. And founding 100 Blacks in law enforcement allowed me to pursue the importance of carrying out that job. I believe in New York City's finest. But to be the finest, we must connect with each other, because the finest must be part of the community and not against the community. That's the energy and spirit we're going to bring. I've been part of the heroic response on 9/11 and the days followed, and the tragic sacrifices from Wenjen Liu and Officer Ramos. I know how great we are as a city and as a police department, the kindness and charity that they show people every day and partner with organizations like the ones we are in now. And I learned an important lesson while serving in the NYPD, and it has guided me throughout my entire career. My mantra is clear. The prerequisite to prosperity is public safety and justice. That is the prerequisite that we must live by and build on. And the past year has shown that the causes I spent my life fighting for are more urgent now than ever. If we do not have public safety and justice, then our city would not be able to recover from the ravage of this pandemic. If we are not safe, we won't open this city in the manner that we deserve. But we also must have justice. We will not be able to heal the wounds that keep police and communities divided and distrustful of each other. And although we are a long way from the 2,000 homicides we had each year in this city, we still have so much work to do. And it's going to take a real partnership to accomplish that. I believe that we can remove guns off our street, deal with violent crimes, domestic violence, hate crimes, terror, and other dangers that follow and that is pervasive in parts of our city. We just had a homicide yesterday of a man working in a grocery store, shot and killed. These are real families that are impacted. And so to lead this department into the next chapter of our shared history, I conducted a nationwide search of some of the brightest and some of the best. And I'm thankful to all the candidates that participated in the search. And it was a difficult one, several layers of being questioned over and over about an impressive team of people to find the right character. But I'm particularly proud of the historic choice we have made, our first women Police Commissioner. Chief Keechant Sewell, a native of Queens, who spent her early days right here in Queensbridge. A long and decorated career in law enforcement. Over 25 years in the Nassau County Police Department. She has risen steadily through the ranks. She has worked in a variety of roles, including undercover assignment, overseeing gun suppression cases, conducting hostage negotiations, and commanding detective squads. A full breadth of experience. She didn't sit behind a desk. She was out there learning the job and learning how to be better for the job. Last September, she was promoted to Chief of Detectives for the Nassau County Police Department, the first black woman to hold that role. And now she will make history again.
That's right.
The first woman to become commissioner of the largest police department in our country, if not the globe. Chief Sewell's appointment today is a powerful message to girls and young women across the city. There is no ceiling to your ambition. Yeah. As commissioner, she will work with me day in and out to implement the vision I have laid out for the NYPDs in the communities they serve. We will reorient the department around precision policing and precision resources.
There you go.
If you do precision policing and just arrest someone when they commit a crime, then we should be having precision resources to find out those who are on the pathway to crime, to stop them from conducting the crime. But that's a partnership that we must conduct by making sure the chief is connected with my chancellor and making sure connected with my other agencies so we will prevent the causes of crime. We call that, in my administration, upstream thinking and not downstream reaction. We're going to drive down violent crime that plague communities like these and give the support that's needed. We will achieve real reform by diversifying the department. We're going to make sure that our department becomes diverse. And we're going to roll out some creative ways to accomplish that task. There has never been any real energy around diversifying the police department. That ends January 1st when I'm the mayor of this city. We're going to acknowledge and put in place that public safety is more than just police. If you want to make our city safer in the long run, it will require a new ecosystem of public safety. That is what we are going for. And it's going to partner with crisis management system, clergy leaders, our tenant associations, and other partners on the ground. And every agency in this city is going to be part of the team of making us safe and preventing crime in a real way. So our new police commissioner not only brings a diverse set of experiences to this moment, but as I say over and over again, when I sat down and looked over the videos, interviewed her, she exudes what it means to be emotionally intelligent, calm, collected, confident. She said to me, when I said, why do you want to join this department? She said, my entire public safety career, I was looking for a mayor like you. Yeah. But guess what? Your mayorship was looking for a police commissioner like me. She's a woman for the job. I'm so proud of what she has accomplished and what she is going to accomplish. And I know some would say, well, how many years has she carried out the job? Nassau is a smaller department, safest city in America that she helped make safe. People are going to try to compare her to others. People are going to state what it is to define who's successful and not. People are going to say if they were the police commissioner, if they were the mayor, they would do something else. People are going to question what we're doing and how we're doing it. All that's fine. But there's only thing you need to understand. I'm the mayor. And as the mayor, I chose who I know is going to bring our city back and create an environment where we're going to raise healthy children and families. I'm so proud this day to tear down barriers. This amazing law enforcement professional, she carried with her throughout her career a sledgehammer, and she crushed every glass ceiling that was put in her way. And today, she has crashed and destroyed the final one we need in New York City. We have a strong, powerful new police commissioner, Chief Sewell.
Oh. Good morning. Thank you, Mayor-elect Adams. It is truly an honor to be here with you today. Your personal story and message motivates me as we endeavor to provide New Yorkers with the public safety they need and the justice they deserve. I stand here today because a man boldly and unapologetically made a decision well before his monumental and successful election. A decision that gave women in policing across this country an opportunity, not a favor, but a chance to work with him, the citizens, and the finest, most storied police department in the world to make New York City a safer city, a more inclusive city, where the community feels connected, heard, and served, no matter where they live or work. Queensbridge Houses is part of my story. I wish my parents were here to point out the building and the apartment where they began to give me a strong sense of purpose, commitment, and confidence. To all the little girls within the sound of my voice, there is nothing you can't do, and no one you can't become. I want to thank my family and friends, and pointedly, the extraordinary men and women of the Nassau County Police Department, who I have been fortunate enough to be inspired by, taught by, and served with for close to 25 years. You are exceptional, and I am forever grateful. In this city, in this moment, I have come full circle, and it is with a humble heart and clear eyes about the task and challenges ahead that I accept the position of New York City Police Commissioner. I have been immersed in policing, from patrol officer to detective, my experience as a hostage negotiator, bringing transparency and accountability to policing, up to and including my role as chief of detectives. I have watched, admired, and worked alongside the remarkable members of the NYPD. It is an honor and privilege to stand with them now. We are at a pivotal moment in New York as our city faces the twin challenges of public safety and police accountability. They are not mutually exclusive. As police commissioner, I carry out the vision articulated by Mayor-elect Adams, enhanced by the inclusion of people and partners who are doing the crucial work on the ground, like Kay Bain and Bishop Taylor. The NYPD has an important role to play in making our community safer, but we cannot do it alone. It is not just the police department, this is your police department. Leading a department of this size and prominence requires much more than just good judgment. I know, as Mayor-elect Adams does, that it requires that emotional intelligence that he spoke about, a proven ability to break down barriers that still exist between police and the community. Policing is about people. We will be laser focused on violent crime with an emphasis on guns. I'll employ experience, decades of my own, the collective talent and input of the members of the NYPD, and the invested members of the community. We'll arrest violent criminals, take guns off the street, and then build the cases to help keep them off. I am mindful of the historic nature of this announcement. As the first woman and only the third Black person to lead the NYPD in its 176-year history, I bring a different perspective, committed to make sure the department looks like the city it serves, and making the decision, just as Mayor-elect Adams did, to elevate women and people of color to leadership positions. I sincerely believe that policing, with its courage and perfect public safety mandate, is a noble and vital profession. It is said that the NYPD is the best of the best. We're about to get even better. As Mayor-elect Adams has said, I will have the backs of my officers, but they must have the backs of the public. I will hold our officers accountable, and I know you will do the same for me. Mr. Mayor-elect, I am humbled and honored by the trust you have placed in me. My shoes are laced up. I'm ready to get to work.
All right.
Hi, Marcia. I am well. How are you? You gotta hold your hand over it, like stops the wind.
I wonder, Commissioner, if I could ask you a question about policing. I know the Mayor-elect Adams has talked a lot about changing police, having beat cops, and bringing plainclothes cops units. But I'm wondering how you feel about something, quality of life crimes, and whether you think those crimes, broken windows crimes, should be enforced in the city as a way to bring the city back into prosperity.
I do. I think lower level crimes have to be enforced when it's appropriate, right? When they can be balanced with the needs of the public and the needs of the community. In not all circumstances is the interest of justice served.
Welcome, Chief.
Thank you
We
very
had an
much.
opportunity to speak outside briefly.
Yes, sir.
We just heard of somebody yelling in here, wanting to make sure you and Mayor-elect Adams heard. They don't want stop and frisk, but a lot of people do want it in neighborhoods like this. Are you ready for the challenges of New York City, not only being the police commissioner, but being a politician? The unions are already saying positive things, but coming at you, so are community groups. Are you ready for this?
100%.
Why? Why are you ready?
I am ready based on the decades of experience that I have. I understand the concerns as it relates to stop and frisk, but I will tell you that anti-crime and plainclothes units work. They have to work with the community. You need the right people with the right training to do the right job, and I'm ready for that. I'm ready to take a look at what's already being done and get it right. Hello.
I'm sorry. How do you see re-implementing that plainclothes unit that the mayor-elect has been talking about and refashioning it so you don't have the same, what he described as recklessness and, an inordinate amount of police-involved shootings and building the trust with the neighborhood?
Chiefly, it comes down to the selection process. You have to make sure you get the right people with the right temperament, with that emotional intelligence to serve the communities that we're going to deploy them to. Sure, absolutely.
Yes. And if I'm sorry, and before we do that, I wanted to make sure the commissioner had an opportunity to answer. But petty crimes, we are exploring an opportunity, those repeated petty crimes, to be on the precinct level and have the services there. So if you are arrested for shoplifting, then you're hungry. So why not have the agencies there to defer those prosecutions to give people the resources they need? This is a new way of thinking. If you're dealing with mental health illnesses, why not have the local CBOs right there? They come to the precinct, you're arrested for mental health type of crime, already have the CBOs in the area, partner with them, defer that prosecution. The goal is not to have 48% of the inmates at Rikers Island having mental health illnesses. The goal is to prevent them from going to Rikers Island. And so we are going to have a new ecosystem of public safety. And Dean, the numerical minority that yells the loudest is not the opinion of our city. I was elected by the people of this city with a very clear message. We're going to successfully use the tools and not abuse the tools. So just because one person yells out something, that is not what Ms. Jones is saying throughout the city. That's not what Ms. Harris is saying throughout the city. A tool that is abused becomes a weapon. A tool that's properly used becomes a resource to keep people safe. We're going to use the tools appropriately. And I know when someone abuses a tool, just like our new commissioner knows when someone abuses the tool.
But some people are concerned because the
We got it.
court said that it was abused.
Right, and we're gonna make sure it doesn't happen, because you know that after 20-something years, I fought against that abuse. I testified in federal court against that abuse. I spoke out against that abuse. So everyone should feel comfortable right now. The hero to stop the abuse chose a heroic police commissioner to make sure it doesn't happen. That's a good feeling we should have. I'm sorry, who was that? Someone that was a new source? Yeah, go ahead. Mhm. Yes.
Some people are saying that your new commissioner is coming from leading 350 officers, and now she's going to be leading about 35,000 officers. So are you concerned about the challenge, or people are saying that she's not experienced enough?
Not at all. Let me tell you something. Scaling up the skills you need to lead, you can scale up. Because let's look across the country. We have people who have been recycled from agency to agency leading police departments across the country. We have violent problems. We have gun problems. We have the failure to connect with communities problems. If they are that successful, please show me the model where they are. We need to think differently. And the skills that Chief Sewell, who's now going to become the police commissioner, the skills that she has, everywhere she traveled to in the police department in Nassau, she improved, she started new units, she was able to show how to use her skills and continue to elevate. This is a real winner. We have a real winner in our city. And you have to have a critical eye from going through policing, going through the legislative body, going to becoming the borough president, going to being a reformer. You have to have a critical eye and ear to know the qualitative difference between those who occupy seats of running departments and those who are looking to transform the department. I am changing the ecosystem of public safety. So if I wanted someone to just keep doing what we've always done, I would have picked some of the leading police heads throughout the country so they can do what we've always done. I needed a visionary. I needed someone that was ready to transform our department, and that's what I found. And I'm so happy for this choice. I could not have been more proud of my team and more proud of this election and more proud of this amazing commissioner that we have.
Guys.
I have a question for the commissioner.
Sure.
You're the first woman to do this job. What do you think you're going to do differently than a man would have done in this position, and how do you think that'll enhance the department?
I think my perspective is different. I bring a fresh set of eyes. We keep using the phrase emotional intelligence, but I think sometimes the first thing people say is, women are a little sensitive. I think sensitivity is a strength. I think that adds to the emotional intelligence. So if I can bring that to the table, I'm ready to go.
NBC, Lisa, please, NBC.
Thank you.
Yes.
Congratulations, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor-elect. I saw that, I read, I think it was in the Times, that you conducted, as part of your search process, a mock news conference about a scenario where a white officer shot an unarmed black civilian. Is it true that you actually went through an exercise like that? And if so, I'm wondering, what was the purpose? What were you looking for? What did you hear from Ms. Sewell, Chief Sewell? And to you, Commissioner, what do you think you did that helped you or enabled you to pass that specific test?
The interview process was more than one layer. The mock press conference was one of the layers, and we need to be clear on that. The goal of that mock press conference is to do what the media is capable of doing. We wanted to get under her skin. We wanted to ask her difficult questions. We want to see if she would be shaken. We want to see, how do you deal with being under the big lights of New York City? And how do you respond? How do you exude the confidence? And because when you have a terrorist attack, when you have a shooting, when you have riots in the streets, when you have protests, when you have disruption, the people of the city, they look towards the police commissioner to say, are we going to be all right? And if the police commissioner is not composed, it doesn't have, and he or she does not have the right aptitude and mindset, then the people of the city believe we're out of control. And when I saw how our incoming commissioner responded with the clarity, understand the challenges. Those are the scenarios we're going to be facing. Hopefully we don't have a shooting like that. But if we do, I need a police commissioner that can stand in front of the room and let New Yorkers know we're going to be all right. Because it's not only substantive, it's the perception.
Right, so on the composure piece of it is one thing, and then there's the substance of the answers. Was there a piece of that you were looking for in terms of how that would be navigated?
Yes. She started out her response that it was a tragedy to lose a young person. She showed that compassion. Others went into the technical aspects of policing. They went into the theories. She started out with the human part of it. That made me sit up, because she understood that there was a tragedy because a life was lost. That's what we have to understand.
Miles?
She had a second. Sure, I think your question was, how did I pass that? I don't really think that's a pass or fail. I truly believe that you can't fit 9 million people in one room for a press conference. So I believe the press and the media are the voices of the people, and they want to have their answers, and they want to find out what happened here. So my objective was to answer those questions as clearly and concisely as possible, while making sure I understood the feelings of the community at the loss of that individual.
Sorry, 1 second, Shimon. Chief. 2 summers ago,
Yes.
people who looked like you and me marched through the streets of Queensbridge, they marched through the streets of Brooklyn and Manhattan and the Bronx, and they said they wanted a fundamental change. And this is a fundamental change in that you are a black woman stepping into this role. How do you take it a step further than that? Because you are a black woman, but how do you address the needs of the black community?
I have to speak to the community. And I think being boots on the ground, being in the community and talking to them about their needs and how they felt those 2 summers ago is important. That's a start. But I absolutely intend to look at what was done 2 years ago and see what we can do to improve what happened then. And I know the NYPD is working on that now as well. And I'm looking forward to finding out what that is.
Okay, Johanna?
Hi, and this question is for the mayor-elect and also for you, incoming police commissioner. Can you discuss what role Phil Banks played in the selection process and what role he'll play in the future administration and how that will interplay with the police commissioner?
Yes, and I can't help but to, when I hear some question, to respond about the 2 summers ago. 2 summers ago, also, people marched with coffins and talked about the countless number of people they were losing to gun violence. We tend to forget that voice. We tend to forget what's happening in the Bronx, where guns are proliferating the community. We tend to forget the violence that people are experiencing. And that is why we say the justice we deserve and the safety we need. Let's understand that. There's 2 voices that are going on, and we could address both of them. We have a violence problem, and we have a problem with police that are heavy-handed. Not all of the cops, but those who are, we're going to deal with. But there were marches for peace, just as there was marches to reform our policing. I cannot tell you how much I value the input from Chief Banks. Here you have an African American that moved up through the ranks to become the chief of this department. He was amazing at CompStat. He understands policing. To have this talent on the bench and not ask him to play a role in finding assistant in the police commissioner is just foolish. And I stated that I need your input. I reached out to others, Tim Pearson, a few judges, We had a cross-section of people that played a role in helping. What Phil Banks' future is, Phil has a great career. he's doing an amazing profession. I don't know what he wants to do in his future, but I think that this city is better served with his knowledge and experience. He will make that determination what he is going to do in the future. He has a lot to offer this city, and in the future we will roll out what we're going to do with all of our appointments. But I was happy to have his input, and I cannot thank him enough for loving this city enough to give us the input and his thought around this issue.
Have you offered him a job in the administration?
We will be announcing everyone that I offered a job as the days go. We're going to be rolling out all of our appointments, and I know some people are saying, well, why is it taking you so long? It's because I'm looking for quality over quantity, and I'm going to do it right. And the most important reason that I'm going to do it right is because I'm the mayor.
Chief Sewell, the Nassau County Police Department has declined to release police officer disciplinary records despite the revocation of 50A. Will you bring the same approach to New York City, or do you plan to release records? And will you release your personnel file either for yourself, through the Nassau County Police Department, or through the mayor-elect?
The decision to release my record would be with the Nassau County Police Department. Is that what you're asking me if I would release my?
Consider the mayor-elect.
I have to take a look at what the city is doing now. I believe the city is pretty transparent with their records online based on police reform and a number of different things, so we would like to continue that, but I'll be discussing that in conjunction with the mayor.
You'll be more transparent than Nassau will be, or has been?
I can't speak about Nassau County directly because I don't have those decisions there, but here we certainly are 100% for transparency and accountability.
Last two questions.
Sure. My question is for the incoming commissioner. I would love for you to share a little bit more about your leadership style, explain some of the life experiences or personality traits that have contributed to your leadership style, and then how will you use that style to get to know the officers of the NYPD and get them to trust you and work with you?
I have an open door policy. I absolutely believe that I learn from everybody in administration. I don't care if you're a crossing guard, a school security officer, a police officer. It doesn't make a difference who you are. I listen to everyone, and I want to continue that policy going forward. My experience, to what you asked for, I actually spent half of my life as a police officer. I've worked wire interceptions, Title III investigations, drug interdiction, gang suppression, gun suppression, school resource officer. I've pretty much run the gambit. So I actually bring that experience with me, and I look forward to what I can learn from the NYPD as well.
Chief, congratulations.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. I have a question about morale. The average police officer says morale is low. In the wake of Floyd, they talk about pushback against police. They talk about restrictive laws that have made it more difficult for them to make an arrest. And as a result, they believe that criminals think they can do today on the street what they couldn't do several years ago. If that is indeed the case, or at least if there's that feeling, how do you change that feeling, and how do you change the culture on the street so the average bad guy is maybe leaving his gun at home and not carrying it with him? And same question for the mayor-elect.
I think, as the mayor-elect said, that's kind of like a holistic approach. I think for me, community police relations actually increases morale. When you start to get the guns off the street, when you start to make it so that somebody feels safe on the street, it brings pride to a police officer. You take these things personally. This is your community as well when you come to work here, whether you live or work here. So I think when you start to lower the crime, when you get to know your communities, when you stop in the store and speak to a shop owner, and they actually have that bond with you, I think that's an increase in morale. And I'm looking forward to making sure we continue those policies and initiatives going forward.
And I think the commissioner stated it best. And historically, we felt that the police departments are supposed to only respond to when people carry a gun. What are the other agencies doing to ask the question, why are people carrying guns in the first place? When I sat down with Divine Pryor, Dr. Pryor, and looked at many of the men and women who are in gangs, I was blown away to find out how many were dyslexic, how many are dealing with learning disabilities. And so if you're not giving me the resources I need because I'm dyslexic, and you become 30% of the prison population in our country because I didn't get the services, the question becomes, why are we putting on people on the pathway to carry guns? If you don't educate, you will incarcerate. That's why my commissioner and my chancellor are going to be working together to close not only the building of Rikers Island, but the pipeline that feeds that building. We have to think differently about public safety. That is what we're going to do. We're going to change the thought of public safety and have a new partnership.
But do you believe the criminals on the street have the upper hand right now? Do you believe that criminals believe that they have the upper hand right now?
I believe there's an energy on our streets that crime is normal and that is acceptable, and that is not true. And that's a numerical minority. That is not the overwhelming number of New Yorkers that get up every day and do the job that they're supposed to do. So we want to do what we're doing with Dr. Pryor and what Kay Bain is doing. We want to really re-instill hope in people so they don't feel that crime is the answer. We want to put people on the pathway to employment, put people on the pathway to mental health support, wraparound services. We have over 100,000 children who are homeless. Everyone knows if you are homeless, you are less likely to graduate from high school. And if you don't get an education, you get incarceration. So this cycle is more than just who's on the street gangbanging. It is what we're doing as the city. We've betrayed a portion of the city year after year after year with systemic lack of services that we want to change and stop. And that's our goal. We're going to do it as a team. And I'm excited about this team. And the most exciting part of this team is what we did today by bringing on a new police commissioner that understands the mission.
The current commissioner has made a lot.
Hi.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Has made a lot about bail, has made a lot of noise about bail reform.
Mhm.
Just following up on what Rafa was saying here, saying that a lot of why some of the criminals on the street feel they can do whatever they want, because they go in, they come out, they go in, they come out. And he's been very forceful attacking some of the DAs, saying that they're being too lax, judges are being too lax. What do you say about that in terms of bail reform? Do you think are you gonna have a similar approach in going after legislators, going after judges, going after the DAs? What do you say about the whole bail reform issue?
I think judges have to have the discretion to be able to keep dangerous people off the street. But it's really about a balance, right? We have to be able to balance what's important for the community and what's safe for the community as well. And I look forward to assisting the mayor-elect in any way to get that done.
I just have one follow-up, if I can, just on what the New York Post asked about inexperience.
Okay.
Certainly, you're gonna be scrutinized, probably the biggest law enforcement job in the country. You're certainly gonna be scrutinized for everything you do. How are you going to prepare for that? And what do you say to people who feel that you've not run a big police department, and will say that you don't have the experience to run this department?
Well, if they don't believe me, tell them to talk to me in a year.
Chief, say your name for us so we get it correctly. You're just getting here. And
Yes,
how
sir.
long did you live in Queensbridge houses in QB?
My name.
Yeah, please.
My name is Keechant Sewell. I am the police commissioner of the New York City Police Department.
I like that swagger.
Commissioner, I look forward to working with you, sister. Looking forward to it.
Congratulations.
Absolutely. Malcolm.
I know you were here.
I need you guys for one shot.
One picture.
You got the picture?
I don't want to be in your shot.